AWC, maybe not quite where we're used to seeing these guys, but game has started. It is game number 1 of the day, Wildcard Gaming versus AWC.
Interesting blind pick. Not surprising for ABC. I think the Rogue Mage Paladin has been looking like their most solid composition. Not been particularly impressed with their Mage Warlock, but their Rogue Mage look phenomenal. So here Wildcard Gaming decide to lead with the Elemental Shaman Fire Mage. This is a matchup that if it was played on the ladder and it wasn't these particular players, that I feel like would be one-sided to the Rogue Mage Paladin, but at this level of play, anything can happen.
Looney, did he sack the blind? I think he bopped himself and then sacked. So Looney already responding with big cooldowns here. Big Hammer of Justice. Morrow gets Dragon's Breath on the sheep, and then he gets kicked on the Ring of Frost. He's still going for it, but he gets shut down on every single sheep attempt. He still gets it through the Dragon's Breath here. Nixie in big trouble. It's gotta be a Cloak of Shadows or something. Nixie managing to use it in time there. Gets a kidney shot onto Morrow. Nice Vitality Conduit there, so Morrow's going to survive, but they do net themselves the Cloak there on the counterattack there for Looney's cooldowns, but now Looney once again in the Polymorph. Morrow taking a big hit here. He blinks, trying to avoid the Meteor. He Dragon's Breaths Asgarath to shut down the Hammer of Justice, buying Looney enough time to top himself. Excellently done there, Ben.
I mean, definitely Alec is actually taking kind of a page from Jamilia, I would guess. He's actually playing a very heavy expedient build, so lots of haste in this matchup. Normally when you play against double wizards, the haste option is really, really good, but it can backfire as well. I mean, Morrow and Zeepai can definitely punish. If they get enough interrupts onto Alec, then he can fall really far behind, and they can lose out on a lot of pressure. Morrow spamming out some greater Power Blast of his own. Alec blinking in for crowd control, actually finds a full polymorph, and now can go after Morrow. Temporal Shield might be able to deflect this attack, but we'll see. Is there any more crowd control? Unfortunately not. Alec gets shut down. Good defense there by Zeepai. And I kind of like this Greater Power Blast build just because you're able to soak up so many interrupts, but it's so susceptible to damage, and that it will be the Ice Block. And that's kind of the price you can pay. You don't have that versatility. Nixie actually getting swapped to, and Wildcard Gaming is all over the map.
This is insane pressure from Wildcard Gaming, a two-pronged assault. ABC are desperate to turn it around here. They need to land perfect crowd control, and they have. It's 3 versus 1. Morrow, will he be able to escape to safety? He double Dragon's Breath. He buys a little bit of time, but Nixie slips in with a sap onto the Blinding Light. Looney bops it off, but into a Polymorph. He did manage to get the Vitality Conduit active. Morrow restabilizes thanks to Looney's quick reaction times there during that crowd control push. Now Asgraf with no Glaire's Medallion, Nixie with no Glaire's Medallion, Alec with no Ice Block. They are all susceptible to crowd control. Blink in by Morrow, double Dragon's Breath. Nixie intercepts with the kidney shot, but Looney finds follow-up with the Hammer of Justice. Zeepai is tearing in, looking to pull first blood in game number 1. A Polymorph has been landed. Healers both in crowd control, but Alec's defense is much more limited. Asgraf respects the chain, using Divine Shield to break out, and now Morrow falls behind. How will he respond? Temporal Shield perfectly timed, healing Morrow back up just for Looney to get out of crowd control. And this is Wildcard Gaming domination.
Wildcard Gaming's got ABC on checkmate right now. They forced all Asgraf's cooldown. They forced all Alec's cooldown. The next time Asgraf gets caught up in a Polymorph, a Ring of Frost, anything like that, it is going to be game over. Looney sacks the sheep right there. Looney's pushing in for the Hammer of Justice. He just came off cooldown. He gets hodged first by Asgraf. Alex stops the sheep here with his own sheep onto Morrow. Looney finally does get the Hammer of Justice, and Morrow's sniping the Ring of Frost. He's not even going to need it. So much damage coming through here. Do they have enough though? Morrow's still going for the crowd control. Not going to be able to find it. Asgraf with excellent position gets through with the Vitality Conduit. That was a really scary situation, but ABC survives.
No, they definitely do. Wildcard Gaming is continuing to push the full polymorph secured on Asgarath, and Alec has no Ice Block available. This could be the game. Nice Temporal Shield there by Alec. The crowd control finally ends into a full Hammer of Justice. And now Asgarath is going to be able to get out of that Hammer of Justice. Morrow just spamming out the polymorphs, just trying to recover a little bit, trying to deny ABC any sort of offense in this matchup. Nice double Dragon's Breath coming in from Alec. Is there going to be any follow-up? Unfortunately, no. Now Morrow in a kidney shot. It is ABC. It's their time to strike. They get the full Hammer of Justice onto Looney. Every man for himself immediately trades out as Looney pushes in for crowd control of his own. Nice counter spell there by Morrow. Full Ring of Frost should be secured, and there is. Morrow taking quite a bit of damage. Nixie's all over him at this point of the game. Can they get a polymorph? No. Great defense there by Zeepai. Very important to shut down the re-crowd control. And Looney, as a result, is able to top off Morrow, and now Wildcard Gaming can look for an attack.
All right, ABC ABC, they've managed to hold themselves together here. They're making a swap over to Looney, trying to power down the healer. Will they win the race here? They could pull themselves back into the fight if they manage to get Divine Shield from Looney in this assault. His Avenging Wrath just faded, but Ineffable Truth buys it time. 10 seconds away. Can Looney stabilize to that 10-second window? He's managed to make it. Vitality Conduit, Divine Favor, more than enough. Now Asgrath's in a polymorph. Alex on the run, still no Ice Block for at least just under a minute. That Cauterize still available, but he could be burned down through it. Zeepai's moving in on the right, Morrow on the left, Lava Burst flying in, Dragon's Breath for follow-up, big Earthshock connects, Cauterize is triggered. Asgrath looks to stabilize with the Avenging Wrath. He cannot afford to use his sacrifice on top of the Cauterize. They're going to be expending too many important resources in one assault, and Asgrath has managed to stabilize with the Avenging Wrath. Alex Ice Block coming up in 30 seconds. If ABC can just manage to hold together and set up more of these swaps to Looney, I see that as a line to victory. Smoke Bomb's available right now, and Zeepai has no Glidier's Medallion. If Zeepai makes a misposition here in the near future, Nixie could look for a punish, but still ABC on defense. Alec trying to line of sight. Temporal Shield's active on the Lightning Lasso, healing back a bit of damage, but now it's faded. Big Earthshock crack. Windshire on the Polymorph. He goes for the Blazing Barrier. It's not enough here. It's so low. Dragon's Breath defensively, desperately to stabilize. It buys time. Asgrath breaks out of crowd control, trades the sacrifice. Now they pounce on top of Wildcard Gaming, looking for a swap to Zeepai. He's a bit low, but Nixie's still going after Morrow, trying to take him down, but Blinding Light I don't think is long enough here. Looney's now out of crowd control. Still no Avenging Wrath for him, and we are in dampening, so it may be difficult for him to recover at this point. Smoke Bomb on Morrow. Dressed to get dropped. Nixie needs to get a Cauterizer, a block with this Smoke Bomb. It needs to be value. He goes for the double Garrote Silence. They're really pushing for it, but they just don't have enough damage.
Very nice Battle Master there coming out from Morrow. Oh, he has the Obsidian Claw on him now as well, though. He's going to be taking a lot of damage here. Looney using his bubble right there just to dispel it and to get some heals out. And now finally full sheep onto Asgrath. Big damage connecting there onto Alec. He actually had this Temporal Shield, but that Earthshock almost took him down without blocking right there. And Asgrath still going to be in crowd control. Full Hammer of Justice. They're swapping to him. Alec exits the block to try to save the situation. It's a healer race. Looney's taking some damage as well. Lightning Lasso comes out. Do they have any more lockdown? Doesn't look like it. Asgrath's going to be able to survive that one, and now Looney's the one in trouble here. Big damage coming out. Both mages trying to feel each other. Right now it's looking like Alex is winning the race. Looney gets the Vitality Conduit. Big heals coming out from Zeepai.
What a god!
No! Big heals. Oh my god, he's still alive! Full heads! He goes for the fucking... Oh my god, he gets it off!
Oh my goodness gracious. Emotions are high here on the desk. Looney manages to escape, and he does get behind the pillar and top himself off. ABC cannot believe it. They can't believe what just happened. Morrow and Zeepai are so happy right now that Looney was able to survive. 16% dampening at this point of the game. Looney now caught into a full blind. Kidney shot on Morrow as well. Let's see if Alec and Nixie can continue this pressure. Full polymorph land. Sacrifice comes out. Pre-sacrifice there by Looney. Great job by him. Now polymorph on tomorrow. ABC got the cooldown that they wanted, and I like that they're just kind of playing it calm, cool, collected at this point of the game, getting a little bit of a reset. And just they're happy they got that sacrifice, but Wildcard Gaming, they need to try to find some sort of pressure right now. They might find it. They actually get the trinket from Asgrath. Alec with no Cauterize and no Ice Block, still such a vulnerable target.
All right, Zeepai building up Maelstrom, just trying to swat Nixie away from Looney and protect him. Divine Shield up in a minute from now. Asgrath in a stun. They're setting up for burst damage. Who are they going to go after? Morrow goes for Polymorph. Secures it. Big hit onto Alec from Zeepai there, but now Zeepai's in a Polymorph into a stun. Nixie's peeling. He goes for the Crucible of Flame heal on Alec, trying to do whatever he can. Alec stalls the Polymorph chain with Dragon's Breath Polymorph. Beautiful defense between Nixie and Alec there to protect Asgrath, but Morrow keeps the chain going with the Dragon's Breath. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. Asgrath with Avenging Wrath has a lot of healing. He needs to buy at least another minute and 30 seconds on the clock here. They have a massive mana advantage if they want to just focus on winning through nothing but pure damage at this point. Asgrath throwing a Polymorph. Morrow's all over them. Big hit onto Alec. He's line of sighting, looking to fake out the wind shear. Gets the fake, lands the poly on Looney. Big setup onto Morrow. Morrow deflects it with Dragon's Breath on Nixie, trying to stall out, but Alec keeps the chain going. He's pushing through the pain to take down Morrow here. Blinding Light follow-up by Asgrath. Morrow on 10% health, 25% dampening. Trades out the Battle Master, boosts up his health. Looney gets the Vitality Conduit. Now it's time to go aggressive for Wildcard Gaming. Asgrath is stun locked. Alec is the target, but he appears to be totally fine during that Hammer of Justice. ABC, once again, they're just managing to stay alive, and it seems like it could be more than enough if they can keep it going, but Lightning Lasso, huge hit on a Nixie. He immediately trinkets and Cloak of Shadows. He wanted to try and see if he could get away with holding on to it, but cannot when it's C-Pie's Lightning Lasso.
That was so close, but they do get the Trinket and Cloak of Shadows there from Nixie, so potential opening there onto Nixie. They get the full sheep here. Let's see what they can get done with it. Do they have the burst damage? They're going after Nixie right now. Alec, he's going to be peeling the situation here. Nice Dragon's Breath, but Mario gets a counter Dragon's Breath. Full Hammer of Justice. The Dragon's Breath, it ends, but his sacrifice wasn't up in time, and they make the game a win here on the side of Wildcard Gaming. That was so close.
Okay, that was a super intense game, and we had Z-Buy's camera, I think, for the first time, and the dude just, like, deadpan the whole time. I don't think he ever looked like he was in, like, felt like he was in trouble.
Emotions are weakness. You have to be focused at all times.
He's going to work. Like, he's going to work. This is what he does for a living, you know? Go in and get the W's, get the wins. Look at his face. He's just full concentration the entire time. And we can break down the final few moments of this game. Asgrath, he actually did have that sacrifice, so we'll see if they actually had a moment to potentially get it in. Asgrath right now in a polymorph. It is going to be Nixie who does eventually fall. The Hammer of Justice comes in. Asgrath, oh, did he have a second? It looks so close. What? It looked like he actually
got it off. Yeah,
I think it looked like he actually had the time to get it off if you're just mashing it from that crowd control. So maybe a misplay there. Not exactly sure, but definitely a really close call. And that was actually a lot more back and forth than I originally anticipated. I mean, if there was just a little bit more damage, we would have seen Looney go down, and it would have been a completely different result. So a little bit unfortunate there for Nixie, Alec, and Asgrath. Definitely. Probably a little discouraging, but they can't give up. I mean, this win would be so massive for them, and that game was so close.
Well, let's talk about that setup onto Looney. What did they do, Wildcard, to keep him alive? What exactly happened in that moment, Supadias?
I feel like he just got a little bit lucky. I mean, he was crowd controlled on the Divine Favor, and I don't know if Alec could take it off, because if he had managed to remove Divine Favor, I feel like Looney wouldn't have lived. Like, the Holy Light with Divine Favor can't be interrupted. And that's the only reason he was able to cast it, is because he had that. If they had Spell Steal available for it, maybe he just got unlucky. But
I think he was running Klepto, right?
It's on cooldown probably from Klepto.
You think it was on cooldown?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate for Alec there, because it's usually the counter to when a Paladin tries to get away with using the Holy Light and Divine Favor at 1%, is you just peel it off and then interrupt them. So if that wasn't available, Looney just clutches out a big heal, and they did their best to stall it. Like, they used Dragon's Breath to interrupt it. I think he went for like a 1-second kidney shot. Nixie, they knew that if he got the Holy Light, he would live. So they did everything they could, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah, super close on the side of ABC. Ven, like you're saying, this is probably a little bit closer than everyone was expecting, given ABC's current record, but we do have to remember who is on this team. 3 of their members won BlizzCon with this roster. This is a super strong team. We've seen them perform at a very high level, Zico. And do we feel like this is going to go to a Game 5 given that first game?
I feel like ABC always goes to Game 5, so it very well could here. They pick Tiger's Peak, which I actually kind of like. They don't go for a too big map. They don't go for a too small map here. There's a lot of options on the side of Wildcard, and they kind of respect that. So they're going to get the same matchup here, potentially. So do you guys think this is the matchup that ABC actually wanted? Rogue Mage into Mage Ellie? I don't know. I feel like this is the matchup Wildcard wanted. But I don't know if this is the matchup ABC wanted as well, because we could just see the same comps going at it. But they could also tag in Warwicks if they wanted. Actually, didn't Wildcard lose to Mage Lock? Or no, it was it Diabolus?
I think it might have been Diabolus. I don't think this is the worst matchup for Rogue Mage Paladin. I don't know how happy I am. Like, we always talk about mage builds, but I feel like it makes a big difference. I don't know how happy I am with Greater Power Blast build. I feel like the haste is really nice, but the short combustion just feels so strong. Did we, realistically during that game, did we see Alec get off any Greater Power Blast that really really impacted the game whatsoever? Maybe there were. I didn't really notice them though. I feel like just having the shorter combustion and more consistent damage, at least with the way these games are playing out, seems to be a little bit better. But he might just want to. Ooh, this is an interesting adaptation. Have we seen? When's the last time we saw Discipline Priest from Asgrath?
It's been a while, for sure.
BlizzCon maybe.
That's crazy.
All right.
So what? Well, so here's the thing. So the way I see this is a lot more scary for ABC. I feel like they're not going to have as many outs. They're not going to have as many emergency cooldowns, like being able to just trinket sacrifice, bubble sacrifice really, really low. I think Nixie is going to be a really vulnerable target in this matchup. They could even go after Asgrath if he has no pain suppression and no trinket. But the one nice thing about what ABC is doing is they have a little bit more offense now. They have the offensive Dispel. They have the additional damage that Discipline Priest brings. So if they can take advantage of that, maybe they can pull out, a victory. But I think it's definitely a risky move.
What about you guys, Zico and Sid? Do you feel like this is a good move with Asgrath on disc, or should they say Holy Paladin?
Well, I think if they win this game on the side of ABC, it's going to be like a win in 1 minute in the opener. If they don't, then I think they're going to probably lose because, there's no ultimate sacrifice, Like here, you kind of just get cheap and, that's that. So I don't know. I feel like there's multiple win conditions. You can kill the priest with swaps. You can kill the rogue with swaps. You can just have CC chains and kill the mage. You can win on mana. Like, I don't know. You have a paladin, but you pick a priest. I feel like it's kind of strange.
Yeah, on this
Maybe
map
for Dark
too.
Archangel?
Like, why this map? If you're gonna do Rogue Mage Priest Rushdown, why do you go? It's not obvious. Like, you don't want to. You want them to make sure they lock in Mage Ellie, because if they picked Hook Point, maybe Wildcard just plays Windwalker Mage, and you don't want that. You want Wildcard to pick Ellie Fire.
Well, it was their counter pick. This is what they deliberately locked into.
That's
Fire
what
Ellie.
That's what I'm saying though. Is why wouldn't they? If they wanted to do a Rogue Mage really fast game, why did they pick Tigers instead of something smaller?
Yeah, I see. Yeah. I mean, that's
How
a good
does
point, but
how does Wildcard's comp do on Tiger's Peak?
I feel like it's good.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad, which is what I don't understand. ABC are kind of like giving them a map that is at least neutral in the matchup. I would think.
What would you have rather seen them lock in if this was their intended composition?
If they want to just run down the Paladin, probably, I don't know if Hook Point, probably Hook Point, actually. You get the Priest in a lot easier. You go, maybe, I'm wondering what target they're going to do. Maybe they're going to play Dampen Rogue Mage, even though they have a Priest. They might. They might just play this game where they sit at the pillar and just spam Greater Pyro and damage and attack. I mean, definitely something that Rogue Mage Priest can do. I don't know if they'll actually attrition the Paladin, who has like 3 times the amount of cooldown value as the Priest doing that, which is why I don't think that would be wise for them to do, but it could be what they want to do. And this is a team that is not afraid to dampen. I feel like when ABC won BlizzCon, they were Arcane Mage Windwalker. They were running laps around Tiger's Peak, dragging this game into dampening when they won BlizzCon. So I would almost be surprised if they went out all aggression with this. But if they go defense, I don't know if it's going to work.
Okay. And do you think... Go ahead, Zico.
I was going to say, well, I mean, they in general have always been like a very strategic team. So there's gotta be something that they're banking on here.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're gonna go Spite and they're gonna try to one-shot someone with Dark like in 30 seconds.
All right, well, we'll find out shortly. The game is ready. Game number 2, Wildcard Gaming up 1-0 versus ABC on Tiger's Peak.
Yeah, should be an explosive matchup for sure. I mean, it really depends on how ABC decides to play it. With this map pick, it kind of suggests that maybe they don't want to play super aggressive, have Asgrath push in, get fears consistently. I mean, Zeepai will be able to defend it with the Tremor Totem, so definitely some risky plays coming in. Curious to see what they do, but one thing's for sure, I feel like Nixie is very vulnerable on that rogue in this particular matchup. We'll see how much damage they can get out, what build Alec is playing, and how Wildcard Gaming is going to look to capitalize on this Discipline Priest change.
They sap Zeepai, but Zeepai's actually got his Elemental running in to get combat, which means I don't think ABC will be able to get a sap now. Alex out of stealth. The initial surprise factor of the Rogue Mage Priest is gone, as Zeepai and Maro know where Alec and Asgrath are. Nixie's still trying to sneak in onto Looney, but Alec and Asgrath are going to have to run right on top of Maro and Zeepai. They're setting up for crowd control. Beautiful start with that triple crowd control, isolating Maro in the kidney shot. They have the Discipline Priest added damage as well in the mix. They're really relying on that to pressure through the versatility and cooldowns of Wildcard Gaming. But through the first exchange, Wildcard Gaming simply get away with a Blessing Protection and a Vitality Conduit. Now looking to reverse with triple crowd control of their own. Beautiful Hex Lightning Lasso combo from Zeepai, locking Nixie down in place, but he's still looking maybe not too healthy. Stormkeeper being channeled. 2 big lightning bolts from Zeepai off to the side. Asgrath activates Vitality Conduit. Alec is polymorphing Zeepai. They use Psychic Scream on Morrow. They're setting up for a swap to Looney. I really do think swapping to the Paladin is the key to victory for Rogue Mage, as Looney has much less versatility than the other 2 players on his team, and he's much more susceptible to dying in a burst setup than Zeepai and Morrow as a result. In the meantime, Asgrath premonitions the Ring of Frost, but a triple Dragon's Breath pins the team. Nixie intercepts with a Kidney Shot. Mind Control onto Zeepai. Like the Mind Control usage from Asgrath, but Nixie's falling behind. He has to use Cloak of Shadows on 10%, and picking the unstable Rogue Mage Priest when you're a team like ABC, you're on the cusp of qualifying to the top 4. This is a risky maneuver in game 2.
Yeah, we're gonna see Morrow now get the Vitality Conduit, Alex in a Hex, double Dragon's Breath kind of defensively. Looney looking to potentially push in here. He has his Hammer of Justice. He gets Kidney Shot. Rare positional area from Looney. Nice wind shear there by Zeepai. Throwing out the heals as well. Soaks up the canvas spell. So Looney should be fine here to get a big heal. There's no interrupt. Actually, there's a kick from the Rogue that he has to worry about. And he's trying to juke it out here from Nixie. See if they can get him off Looney there. Okay, nice. Lightning Lasso. He's probably going to just cast up the full HP here. Looney's going to be completely fine. They shut down the Greater Pyroblast as well here. And if Nixie overextends, he's going to die. He doesn't have Cloak of Shadows, so he has to pull back. Full Hex comes out onto Alec, and here we go. Asgrath Premonition, or Trinkets with his Human Ray Shell right there on the Looney Hammer of Justice. And now they get a nice sheep here out of the DR stun there from Zeepai. Can I get any follow-up, though? Defensive Smoke Bomb comes out. Vitality Conduit is going to come out as well. But this is just looking closer and closer like a wildcard victory.
Yeah, right now, not looking bad for Wildcard Gaming whatsoever. I feel like ABC, they're just being consistently shut down. And Asgrath now, look at his mana. He's got Relentless. So Nixie, if there's any crowd control on Asgrath, he's going to be incredibly scared at this point of the game. There's a full polymorph that lands pre-barrier. Zeepai actually knocks him out into a lightning lasso. Nixie has to trinket to get back to the safety of the barrier, but it might not be enough. He's got no Cloak of Shadows. Morrow using the combustion. Polymorph comes in. Nixie with the Shadow Step Garrote onto Morrow. Asgrath gets out of the crowd control and is able to keep him alive. Sacrifice comes in from Looney as well, not wanting to give ABC any sort of momentum lead, but they're actually going after Looney now. Alec fishing for some Greater Pyroblast. He's been shut down quite a bit in this matchup. Gets Hammer of Justice on that one, gets wind sheared on the next, but every time he gets interrupted on the Greater Pyroblast, it allows him to just spam out Polymorph. So I think that's his main idea with this build. Nice crowd control initiated. Lightning Lasso on Nixie. He does have the Cloak of Shadows, though. Might be able to get it off. He's caught into a stun. Can he get it off? No, he's so low. He actually gets it off. He has the Vanish as well if he needs to. He can use the Vanish, but definitely doesn't want to have to trade out both cooldowns, and ABC hold on.
I mean, they're falling behind on cooldowns. They're already at half mana. Wildcard Gaming once again in a lead here in game 2. They got to pull off a miracle. They stun up Morrow. They've got the Shadow Fiend out. A lot of extra damage. Looney recovers with Vitality Conduit, but now in a polymorph, Morrow activates Temporal Shield immediately, soaking a huge hit during that chain, and they disrupt it further from happening onto Looney. Love the disruption from Wildcard Gaming. Looney mounted up on his Charger, going for a Hammer of Justice. Immediate pain suppression from Asgrath, respecting the potential crowd control, and they're just going to hold out. They're swapping to Looney, trying to punish his aggressive positioning. Love the swap over to Looney. Do they have enough damage to force the Divine Shield? They go for the DR cheap shot into Garrote. They're really pushing for Divine Shield, but Looney is just refusing to crack, repositioning out into midfield so his team can freely cast on the Rogue and Mage, maybe support him, but he does get kicked. That could be a game-winning kick here if it buys time for the diminishing return, but Nixie gets intercepted by Zeepai. Huge Hammer of Justice by Looney. Huge judgment laying down the law. Wildcard Gaming take game 2.
Wow.
DM bubble in the end, too.
Do we feel like that game was a little bit more one-sided than game number 1 on the side of Wildcard here, Zico?
So I realized that Exit actually beat Wildcard with RMP.
Well,
but
I'm gonna be honest.
There's a little difference, I think, between the Exit RMP and this RMP, though.
I don't even know if that's it. Like, well, there is. I'm not going to deny that, but at the same time, I really feel like Wildcard Gaming, when they played that matchup, they kind of threw. Like, Morrow played 0. I'm pretty sure he played, like, Lucid Dreams. He had no versatility. Like, he was paper, and they just got ran over because of it. In this matchup, he's straight up maximum versatility, and I think it just gives you such a long window to actually win as Wildcard Gaming with this composition. I think if we saw Wildcard Gaming versus Xset again, it wouldn't look anything close to what we saw in the first time those two teams met. If they gear like this, I think it's a completely different matchup.
So now that we've seen that game, do we feel like we have a better idea of why ABC locked in Tiger's Peak and a Disc Free Super Tees?
I mean, they just played a standard game. I don't think they were doing anything really off the books. They didn't just tunnel Paladin all game. I don't think they'd get away with just tunneling Paladin all game. It's just the question of, does the standard game work out for them? And at the moment, it was somewhat close. I mean, they managed to finally get Divine Shield, although, I mean, Looney did it after Nixie was dead. But it seems like the map didn't really do them many favors, because if the ultimate plan was to switch to Looney, he was able to stay far away quite frequently, so they could maybe swap to him when he pushed in once, and then he would deliberately not push in for an extended period of time until he knew he had something to deal with if they swapped to him again. So he only went in when it was really safe to do so. If they pick a smaller map where he doesn't have the ability to position like that, maybe it works. I really liked their Rogue Mage Paladin game. I mean, you got a little bit unlucky. Like, Looney lived at 1%, but that game, the first game, was much closer in my mind, at least, than the second game.
So you'd like to see ABC put Asgrath back on the Holy Paladin, then maybe lock in a smaller map, Super Tees?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see if they do that. The draft process will be starting soon. It's going to be ABC's map choice again, as they did lose that last game here. Zico, Ven, what about you guys? Do we want to talk about that gameplay from the last game? Do we feel like they're just not going to be able to pull off a victory here for this next game on ABC, Zico?
Well, I think in the last game, it's kind of like what Ven said, and they wanted to go after Morrow, but they realized after that first setup, when they didn't force the ice block, like, he's probably running a lot of Versa, we're not gonna be able to take him down. And then it was kind of like, okay, let's try to do some setups there, but also try to kill Looney, and it just didn't work out for them. So in game number 2, I definitely don't want to see the Priest. Oh, sorry, in game number 3, I definitely don't want to see the Priest. And Arampala looked pretty good. Like, I think Arampala on a smaller map looks pretty good.
On a smaller map.
It was close on Nagrand. I feel like on a small map it's going to be even better for them. So maybe like Hook Point.
Oh, look at that.
Is that
Nice.
a point?
Yeah, nice timing. Hook Point. Hook Point, Wildcard Gaming locking in the same composition. Now ABC is their move to pick their comp. What do you want to see out of ABC for this next game? Then, if they would need to turn it around, do you think they can successfully go after Looney in this map if they lock in Arampala?
I think it's gonna be rough to go after Looney. I think Morrow and Zeepai open is gonna be disastrous. I mean, they can do it, but we're gonna have to see really nice cross crowd control coming in. We're gonna need Fear on Zeepai, Dragon's Breath Sheep on Morrow as an example, and then they can kind of isolate Looney and go after him. But I just feel like if Morrow is able to Kleptomania Combust and Zeepai is able to ground Alex damage, then it becomes really, really difficult. I almost wonder if ABC, Alex should maybe play like Gushing or something like that. Like, just play a really, really offensive build where he's able to put out a little bit more damage in the match, because the Greater Power Blasts are just, I feel like, although they're soaking up all these interrupts, I feel like they lose out on a lot of offensive potential, because it's just, you don't have the damage when you need it. When you do finally get that crowd control, your damage is kind of underwhelming with this build, unless you have the combustion, but even then, Morrow and Zeepai are just ready to deal with it right away, so... I don't know. I think there's some build changes maybe ABC could go with, and I think they can pressure down Morrow in the match, so maybe that's something they want to go with. The all-in onto Looney can work, but I think it's really risky.
They also locked in Disc Priest again. Are we surprised at all, Super Tees?
A little bit, probably. I mean, they could rush Looney if Morrow's still playing full versatility on this map. It's just going to be... I feel like Zeepai and Morrow... They're not gonna let Looney just die. Maybe I'm commentator cursing this, but like,
I don't know. You saw that first game. I would agree with that.
I just don't know if that type of strategy will work. I think swapping to him like they did in the other game would be important, but Looney will just reposition far away, and at that point, that's when they have to decide, like, are we gonna push out and try and chase him after he's gone in for Hammer of Justice and we swapped, or are we going to wait for him to come back? Because if he comes back, he's coming back with Ineffable Truth cooldown, so we're just going to be repeating the same thing until our priest runs out of mana. At some point, ABC have to make an aggressive stance in the game, and if they can't, I think that Looney's team can win on attrition. But then if they take the aggressive stance, then they might get exposed to Morrow and Zeepai and then lose. I mean, it's match point. I like the Rogue Mage Paladin better, but I see why on paper they would prefer the Priest on hook point. But performance-wise, I feel like the Paladin was able to go toe-to-toe a bit longer.
And as we are going to hook point here, Zico, Wildcard hasn't changed their composition for game 1 in game 2. Are they going to be able to do sort of the same strategy that we saw for those first 2 games? Or given the size of this map, are they going to have to adjust a little bit?
I feel like, well, because you're also dealing with a priest and not a paladin, anybody is a target on the side, well, on both teams, honestly. If you're on Wildcard Gaming, Ascraft doesn't have, his human racial and he doesn't have pain suppression, you can hammer him into a lightning lasso and take him down 100-0. You can do the same thing, with crowd control on the priest and try to kill the mage. You can do what they did last game and take down Nixie. Really, anybody for Wildcard is a target. And the same thing goes for ABC. It's all about working through your DRs, and I think having more than one target. I think if Zipa is scared that he might die and the mage is scared that he might die, it's going to be a lot harder for Looney to predict what to do, or if Looney's afraid for himself, plus like the mage.
We've also talked about builds quite a bit here with this matchup. I feel like we always end up talking about the Fire Mage, but I'm going to make you talk about it more, Ven. We've got Alec versus Maro here. They're running pretty different builds. What do we feel like the key differences are here? If you're watching from home, awc.gcd.tv, you can follow along, see which gear they are running, Ven. But what are the different advantages of how Maro and Alec are gearing their mages?
Well, I mean, Maro, he has the kind of added benefit of being able to play full versatility. He doesn't have to deal with kind of... Here's the thing. So for Maro, he's playing against Rogue Mage, and he just has to survive the kidney shots. So he's playing Conflict and Strife as his major essence, and then playing really, really heavy versatility. So basically, he doesn't die in the stuns. He has a lot of damage reduction when he's caught into those stuns, and when he does get out of them, he can finally kind of defend himself with Frost Novas and Dragon's Breath, and ultimately can survive, and versatility is not bad for doing damage as well. Alec, he's playing against a team that has heavy interrupts, Zipai with Grounding Totem, with Wind Shear. Maro has Counterspell, so he's opting to go for a little bit more haste and go for Greater Pyroblast, just so he can kind of soak up those interrupts with the high threat Greater Pyroblast, and then try to find polymorphs in the matchup and make it a little bit easier to land those Dragon's Breath Sheeps, the Dragon's Breath Ring of Frost. The thing is, I feel like with the build Alec's running, it's a little light on consistent damage. So if you can find those Greater Pyroblasts, it's going to work out great for you. But if you don't, you don't really have the great damage during your goes. So I think that's why sort of the short combustion build works generally better. Then when we did see Raikou play against this team, they were playing that build. So Raikou went the very standard max versatility. Yeah, you play short combustion, gives you a lot of consistent damage every single time you land a kidney shot, or every second time you land a kidney shot, you have massive burst available. I think overall, it's just it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better of a build. Alex even playing Conflict and Strife. I guess he really wants to survive those big setups, but I think you could even go a little bit riskier with like Reaping Flames and stuff, and just really add a little bit more punch to those goes as Rogue Mage. I think it's important.
And then something that also came into play quite a bit for this first game here on the side of Looney Supatees was him running Ineffable Truth. Why do we see so many Paladins run this? Why is it so good with a Holy Paladin?
Well, their cooldowns are normally 3+ minutes, Avenging Wrath, Blessing of Protection, Blessing of Sacrifice. With Ineffable Truth, if you get lucky strings with them, sometimes you can reduce them down to 0 cooldown. So you're just immediately using Avenging Wrath into Avenging Wrath, which also lasts a really long time, so it's just all about cooldown uptime. The weakness of the Paladin was that if you used one of those cooldowns, there would be a significant time before you could use it again, so the other team would try and exploit that time in between. But with Ineffable Truth, you remove the weakness of the Holy Paladin entirely, and you've just got this constant strain of healing and cooldown output that is allowing Holy Paladin to be the best healer at the moment. Looney is, though, respecting the Rogue Mage potential. He's not playing every single corruption piece as Ineffable. He has some versatility just to make sure that he doesn't get absolutely KO'd, which I like that as an adaptation. Realizing the only way they're going to really lose is if Looney dies, so getting a little bit of extra versatility is a smart move.
Yeah, well, we'll see if that is going to work out for them. Game number 3, it's Wildcard Gaming on Match Point versus ABC.
All right, and they managed to get in combat right away here. Maro getting Garrote into a kidney. They get a sheep onto Zeepai. They go for the Ring of Frost, but look at Zeepai's Elemental shutting down Alec right there. Even though the entire team is CC'd, Zeepai pre-placing that. Looney is kind of trapped there in the Ring of Frost, so he can't really move out too much, but he can still throw out his heals, so Maro should be okay in this situation. But now Alec going in for Polymorph. Looks like he's going to find it, and so does Maro. Let's see who takes the most damage here. Maro has Temporal Shield active. Big damage coming out, though, in that kidney shot. He's going to just bounce back up with full HP there in that exchange. And whenever an exchange ends evenly like that, it is in Wildcard's favor usually, because, you know, the Priest is probably going to go out of mana before the Paladin and run out of cooldowns before the Paladin. So trading even is still bad for ABC. You got Hammer of Justice into a sheep, and now Nixie has the Vitality Conduit on him, doing some work, but still taking a decent amount of damage. They want to get the Cloak of Shadows here, but doesn't look like they can find it right now. Dragon's Breath extending the CC chain a little bit, but now Full Fear onto Looney, and Maro could be the one in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see what happens. Mind Control out onto Looney right now. It does get purged off. It actually fades. And now Maro taking quite a bit of damage. They're all over him. Alec looking for a greater Power Blast. Let's see if he can get it off. He manages to find one. No, it gets grounded. Unfortunate there, but a full Polymorph does land. He's a big combustion coming in from Alec. Massive damage onto Maro. This Temporal Shield's going to be massive, and it looks like Maro will be able to top off with that. Now, with minimal crowd control on Looney available, I think he should be okay. Let's see if they can just continue to push through. Full Hammer of Justice on Nixie. Wildcard Gaming's looking to turn it around. Cloak of Shadows and the Gladiator's Medallion gets used by Nixie. Now he's going to be a really vulnerable target. Keep in mind, Asgrath, he has no Gladiator's Medallion. He's playing Relentless, so just one good crowd control chain with a Hammer of Justice on Nixie, and it could be lights out for ABC.
So for Wildcard Gaming, I feel like it's basically certainty that they're top 4 if they win this game. If ABC lose this game, then they lose. They're basically praying that other teams like Coffin Dance also lose their series, because they're going to be on the low end of the bubble of making it into the top 4. So there's a lot on the line for both sides here. Beautiful setup by ABC. They crack through the Cauterize. Temporal Shield triggers. Nice offensive play from ABC, showing a lot more signs of life from game 2 to game number 3 here. Maro blinks in to try and crowd control Asgarath. Alec intercepts him with a Polymorph, totally shutting down the chain. Asgrath repositioning defensively at the pillar here, trying to line of sight Maro. He knows that he's the Polymorph target at the moment. He's going to reposition to the back line, further away from Maro. They go for a blind on Looney. Looney immediately uses Blessing of Protection. He gets Dragon's Breath on the Blessing of Protection. They pull Nixie away, and Asgrath was afraid that Looney would just immediately turn that around. So Asgrath pulls Nixie out of the fight. They got the Blessing of Protection on the blind. That's more than enough. No reason to kind of overstay your welcome, and we see ABC back in the pillar defensive. But Earthquake and Flame Strike are cleaving them down at this point. Looney is posted defensively. Still has Divine Shield, Avenging Wrath coming up. Their team is in a solid place defensively. If ABC get good crowd control, though, they could get an Ice Block from Maro and potentially Mass Dispel, remove it, and kill him outright if Wildcard Gaming isn't ready. But Wildcard Gaming lead the charge with triple crowd control. Huge damage on match point! Massive combo! Wildcard Gaming totally dominate the defense of ABC.
That is going to be a quick 3-0 for Wildcard Gaming. ABC, that just looked like a pretty rough series on that side. Wildcard Gaming, super clean series for them though, Zico.
Yeah, I think I couldn't see because of the debuff, but I'm pretty sure that was a claw right there at the end, helping them seal the deal right there from Maro. So they got the excellent